Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Perspective Philosophy, where we try to better our perceptions of the world through philosophical discussion. In today's episode, I'm going to be responding to Repzion, or Mr. Repzion, for those who've watched him for many years. Repzion, from what I'm aware, started really critiquing people like Onision and also people like crazies who would essentially make really stupid political content, I think, for the most part. From when I remember watching Repzion back, like 2016, before that even, I think 2016. But yeah, he seems like a nice guy. He seems quite a reasonable guy. And I know he made a response to That Vegan Teacher. So I'm going to respond to his video responding to That Vegan Teacher. And we're going to see if we can convince Repzion to join Team Vegan. Well, actually, join Team Animal. And that's the distinction that we're going to make. To remember that veganism is not about vegans, it's about animals. So I hope you're all having a really lovely night. And sorry it took us so long to actually get here. I was having a real issue essentially getting it to stream to YouTube. I don't know why. So yeah, glad to be here. Yeah, he was anti-feminist back in the day, but in his defense, he was really just responding to feminists who were really just absolutely crazy. I don't know if anyone remembers back in the early like 2015, 2016, there would just be people screaming at other people on the street, and they became like memes essentially. So and I think he kind of jumped on. He was kind of the same. He was in the same kind of community as She One Head, Ahmad Skeptic, some black guy. So yeah. So we'll just give it a minute and we'll wait for people to join. But hello, Gam's Hot Banana Water. Ella Rose, nice to see you here. Flexo Dude. Noah, nice to see you back. Studio Azeroth, nice to see you here. George, nice to see you back. Ketracel White. I like the Star Trek reference. I really like the Star Trek reference. Have I watched too many SJW cringe comps? Honestly, I have. I've seen so many of them. I've seen so many SJW cringe compilations. It's just, I'll happily debate Amazing Atheist if he wants to. Floris, nice to see you here. I mean, yeah, but they were isolated and then used to conflate. Yeah, they were conflated with all feminism. It's true. It was just the loudest voices used to, essentially blacken a movement. I agree. Joan Head also just says whatever, she will get her views. Yeah, probably. But yeah, and I don't think he will debate us. So, guys, we're just going to get started now. So I'm going to essentially pull up his video, as you'll see. There it is. So his video is That Vegan Teacher Files, an ineffective teacher.
Hello, students.
And so I can see this is going to be a great time because That Vegan Teacher is perhaps the least controversial figure in the world.
Today we're going to talk about the devil. The devil's name is Gordon Ramsay.
Well, welcome to the Vegan Teacher File.
To be fair, I don't know if Repzion knows this, but Gordon Ramsay's actually kind of a dick. Not even just the character, the guy is a dick. He made a whole thing about feeding a vegetarian meat. So he really doesn't like veganism. He really doesn't like vegetarianism, and it's him that usually takes the offensive, trying to argue that we're ridiculous and try to put forward the fact that what we eat is cauliflower steaks and stuff like that. So no, I'm not a big fan of almost got John Pearson of Gordon Ramsay. I think, to be entirely honest with you, I think I think that he has been quite anti-vegan. Yeah, calling him the devil is probably a bit too far, but yeah, he's not the best guy.
Files. If you've ever wanted to watch and
Like
hear
the
about
Notebook.
somebody that will make you very, very angry, not because of the message, but because of how they spread the message, this is the woman for you. You've probably heard of her, or at least seen her on TikTok or social media before her TikTok account got nuked for some not so nice things and ways in which she would spread the message of which is going to be the subject of today's video, veganism. I think people, no matter what you believe individually, there are extremists on either side of whatever belief that somebody holds. And when one becomes a militant individual towards whatever ideology they withhold, chances are radicalized thinking is only going to disrupt and push people away from what could potentially be a good change or a good cause, because it's always the rotten bad apples that always seem to have the loudest voice. But
I do agree with him there. I think he's actually right. I don't think that that vegan teacher is necessarily the best representative of the vegan movement, but we'll have to keep in mind that it's a movement for the liberation of animals, to free them from what is perpetual slavery and torture. Now, it's true that she might be an ineffective teacher, and it's true that there are bad activists and extremists in all movements. Take, for example, I'm not a big fan of Malcolm X or the Black Panthers. I don't like a violent approach to essentially reform or even revolutionary reform. I think violence, if it can be avoided, should be avoided. I think that Martin Luther King had by far the better approach to the civil rights movement, and I think he saw more success with it. That doesn't mean I'm not for the civil rights movement. Like, of course I'm for black civil rights. Don't like Malcolm X so much, don't like his teachings, don't like the way that he engaged, but I do like the civil rights movement. Do you see the issue? It's so easy to conflate, let's say, one ineffective activist with an entire movement, and I'm really hoping Repzion doesn't do that here.
But before we begin any further, special thanks to the sponsor of the channel today. You've heard of them before, Raid Shadow Legend.
Making them dollars, man. But I'm not gonna play your ad during my video. You get on that grind, boy.
And click the links down below.
I say I'm not going to play an ad, and then the next thing I get is an ad. I did this to myself. I did this to myself.
Why is Gordon Ramsay an animal bully? Instead of eating meat, he could just eat protein-packed veggies. Why does Gordon Ramsay choose to pay for blood and murder when he can just switch over to vegan mayo and a vegan burger? Animals so much? Why does he slice them with a knife instead of offering a life-saving touch? Why does Gordon Ramsay think that kidnapping for Chiefs is okay? Because that's what the dairy industry does to baby boy cows every day. Why?
I mean, actually, she's entirely right about all of that. I'm just going to say to you, like, it is incredibly cruel what we do to animals, and Gordon Ramsay is not only actively participating in it, but actively undermining the movement to try and move away from it. So, yeah.
Why does Gordon Ramsay make fun of animal defenders? Why does he think it's okay to send his baby boy chicks to the egg industry? Because people like him seem to think it's somehow fun for ending misery.
I mean, to be fair, like, let's just look back, right?
Because people like him seem to think it's somehow fun.
And I just want to kind of bring attention to this. You see that little baby chick?
Industry, because people like him seem to think it's somehow fun for
Right.
misery.
See, look, see that little baby chick that's about to fall into a blender? Like, come on, that's what this is really about, okay? There is a baby chicken about to fall into a blender, right? You can already see the blended up other babies. That's what we're against here. I don't even care that she's cringe. I do not even care. Like, at all. Like, there could be someone who's cringe and against slavery. That's still right. I don't even care if they're cringe. I'm not going to be pro-slavery because they're cringe. So I hope that you're at least ingesting the message, Repzion. Like, it's Daniel, isn't it? Daniel, I hope you're genuinely receiving the message here, which is that this is not okay. This is this system, the status quo. It's not okay. And if you buy these products, eggs, for example, you do actually cause this to happen. You have a direct effect on demand and supply. You're the demand. This is the supply.
You help us lead the way. Why cause so much suffering to so many youth? Why not be as brave as the others who changed when they learned the truth? Save the atom.
I mean, I wouldn't do that because someone actually died fairly recently. It was like a year ago because she got run over by a truck. To be fair, I do think that the truck had opportunity to stop. It does seem like they just run them over. It was like a real like scandal. And the only reason that they kind of got off with it is because they just put a new law in place in that vegan activists aren't allowed to stop lorries. So from what I'm aware anyway, but it seems that that this is really dangerous. Don't do this.
Save every innocent lamb, every chicken, turkey, pig, and
Stop! There are ways to spread a message without making something so abysmally terrible by attacking one of the top chefs in the entire world. But if you
But the man, look, like, Daniel, I get it. You see it as an attack on one of the top chefs in the world. But he also is frivolently anti-vegetarian and vegan. He made a video trying to converting a vegetarian to eating meat. No, I don't think that the critique of Gordon Ramsay is unwanted or unwarranted. He done this to himself. He's deliberately provoked controversy, and then when he gets a response, well, even better, now he can play the victim. Honestly, there's no victimhood in Gordon Ramsay. I'm sure he can take it. He's a big boy, right?
If you want to get a message across, there is a right and wrong way to do it. And well, the vegan teacher is the epitome of exactly that. She has a channel of over 125,000 subscribers. However, if you go to her content and sift through her entire channel, you're going to find that the majority of every single one of her videos, like this more recent one, the "Why Are You a Vegan Phobic Animal Bully" at Gordon Ramsay, has over 83,000 dislikes. It is a extreme level of...
I will say this, like, yeah, she's cringe, but why is she getting that many dislikes, man? Like, why? Why do you think that the mass majority of the population hate her so much? And it's because they hate vegans. Why do they hate vegans? Because we're essentially your conscience. Like, you're doing an action which is normal, but is immoral. It's unethical. So when we say, look, you need to change your lifestyle, we're not liked. I would actually argue that vegans represent what would be the eatable father of our society. We are castrating the desires of the average everyday individual, saying like, this is inappropriate. You have to limit your desires. And for that, they look upon us with scorn and resentment. And this is, I think, okay, I agree. Even half of them probably come from the cringe alone. But a big, like, she could be doing anything else. Let's say she was doing something, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like another movement or something. Like, let's say she was like a feminist. Yeah, she'd probably get a lot of dislikes, but would she get that many? Like, it's just, I think a lot of it has to do with veganism and a public disdain for it.
Of distaste that people have towards this woman. I want to be really upfront. I am not against people being vegan, vegetarian. It's not my business. You know, it's your body, your choice. If you want to not eat animal products, that is fine by me.
See, this is the thing though. It's not like, it is your body, your choice when you talk about consuming plants or consuming, non-animal products. But when you're consuming animal products, it's actually somebody else's body you're often consuming, and their choice is not being considered. That's really the point. It's that we're not respecting the bodily autonomy of another. We're actually directly exploiting other individuals, their bodily autonomy, their liberty, like their freedom, and often causing them intense suffering for trivial reasons. When we could do something like, for example, switch from dairy milk to soy milk, switch from dairy cheese to vegan cheese, or switch from meat to vegan meat. It's not a hard shift, but it is a shift that's necessary if you want to stop perpetuating harm upon billions of animals.
I just think that there's a lot better methodology to go about to communicate, not eating animal products that doesn't come across as militant or dogmatic.
Dogmatic. That's such a funny thing to say. Dogmatic. Let's have a look at the definition of dogmatic. Dogmatic, inclined to lay down principles as undeniably true. Right. So what principle do vegans lay down that's undeniably true? And is there ever a time in which dogmatism is justified? So what happens if something is undeniably true, i.e. self-evident? So I agree. We should be skeptical. I think that it's a very important part of our lives. We should definitely be willing to criticize and critique pretty much everything, and reject dogmatism in that sense. But I don't think that veganism is the dogmatic side of the coin, I'm afraid. I think that the dogmatism really comes from animal consumption. It is the dominant ideological force within our lives. Like, veganism isn't considered the norm. Carnism, or the consumption of animal products, is considered the norm. So why would you say that we're dogmatic, unquestioning our own principles, when the reason that we've reached this position is through skepticism and self-reflection? Very few people are born vegan. Almost everyone is born into meat consumption. And have you questioned your meat consumption, Daniel?
Shoving one's ideology in somebody's face constantly is just not an effective means to spread, I think, a great cause of veganism. Going around pointing...
I don't think we need to shove the ideology. I mean, like, look, she did show the animals. Like, whatever she says, like, irrelevant. Did you watch the footage where animals are being blended and killed and mutilated and tortured? Do you think that's justifiable? Would you pay for that? Can you justify paying for it right now?
Pointing a finger at people's face, getting and screaming at them, calling them names, and in this particular case, even going as far as the vegan teacher did to...
How many vegans do you know that scream at people in their face and getting in their face and like just start bullying people like, you will go vegan? Because I haven't seen it. I've genuinely not seen it. I had someone debate me the other day and told me their mom was more important than my mom. But I've never ever had being in someone's face, calling them like an animal abuser or anything. And it's not even representative of even most vegans. This vegan in general isn't even doing that. She's criticizing someone who's genuinely attacked veganism anyway.
To attack the LGBTQ community by saying that coming out is selfish. Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit... I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to defend that.
TikTok is a very, very fun place.
You're absolutely wrong. Coming out as a vegan animal
rights activist is one of the most courageous, unselfish things you'll ever do, because it's not about you, it's about others.
rights activist, as somebody who cares beyond themselves, is much more special than it is to come out as a member of the LGBTQ community. Coming out as a member of the LGBTQ community is an entirely selfish act. It's talking about you only. It's not talking about the things that you're going to do to better the world.
Well, I would disagree with that, because I think coming out is essentially a political action anyway. It's the normalization of the LGBTQ movement and you know, like, not what was considered either perverse or non-normal. And so it's it's a normalization of that. But I do think that she's right in saying that coming out as vegan is difficult and it's very important. Also normalizing veganism to the masses. But yeah, I don't think she should have necessarily said it's more important than being LGBTQ.
Coming out as an animal rights activist is talking about the animals.
To be fair, it looks like somebody said the difference is huge. Coming out as a vegan is not as special as coming out as a gay and lesbian. I think she's being reactive here. I think she's tried to be like, you know, it's more important. She should have just said, look, it's incredibly important. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, they're both important. You being gay and being at home in yourself is very important. And I genuinely hope that you can feel pride and feel comfort in being yourself. Also, don't hurt others, and we should perpetuate the movement which it educates people on how not to hurt others within their actions. I don't think that's uncontroversial. I don't think that's controversial, rather.
Others, not just you. In fact, it is a completely unselfish thing to do. Yes, I'm not saying it's easy in different societies, different religious backgrounds, but if you're in a religion that treats you badly, then just change religions. We've been over this before. But look at my comment section.
I don't really think it's that easy, I'm not going to lie. I think that's a little bit ignorant. I don't think, I'm just going to leave Islam. I'm definitely not going to face any backlash from my family and friends and my whole community.
Think of how terribly...
I'm just going to stop being a Jehovah's Witness.
Vegan animal rights activists are treated. Not just me. All of them.
We are treated
better.
we are treated badly, but I don't think that means that other people aren't not treated badly.
Be kind to those who are being kind. Be vegan.
This is absolutely crazy to me. The thought process behind such statements, comparing animal activism to that as coming out on your sexuality. And while some people may or may not agree that coming out is brave or what's...
Thank you. Apparently me jellies went off. I got informed that me jellies, my definitely real jellyfish.
or whatever, I'm here today to tell you that there is still a very large stigma and there's still a lot of oppression and judgment and condemnation that is put on people who come out as...
Yeah, and it varies from society and normative, like the norms and conventions of your society, subculture, family, you know, it varies a lot.
Bisexual, gay, trans. The fact that you say that, you know, coming out about one's, you know, identity or sexuality is selfish because of the animals go through whatever, what have you, whatever stupid argument that you're trying to make here, which
To be fair, like, look, like, why are you saying, like, anything to do with the animals?
is just asinine. There are still states that practice electrocution on people. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's still schools designed to school the gay out of you. While some...
Yeah, AB, is it, what's it? It's like gay conversion. What's it called? It's not ABA, is it? It's, that's for autism, isn't it? That's just as bad. Oh my God, I can't remember its name. It's awful, man. It is awful. It is really, recently someone came out as actually gay. One of the people who was running one of the, like, you know, pray the gay away kind of camps, and they're like beating people with Bibles, actually recently came out as gay.
Some religions have somewhat progressed forward with allowing, you know, parts of the LGBTQ and being a lot more inclusive. There is also a lot
Of course, it's not just religious. Like, you know, it's actually cultural as well, I will say.
churches that even to this very day do not. And children and young teens or young adults are still outcasted and condemned and ostracized from their families simply for coming out about their sexuality.
Absolutely, and that's 100% wrong. We should not ostracize or, you know, undermine the identities of people who are lesbians, gay, bisexual, or any member of the LGBT community just because of who they are and how they choose to live their lives. Because their life is non-harmful, and we have no right to impose upon their their liberty, what they can and cannot do with their in their sexual lives, or even with their own bodies. Right? I'm not gonna argue that we should, because we absolutely shouldn't. And the reason we shouldn't is equality, because we consider them as equal to ourselves, and we want freedom, and we want them to have freedom. We want the greatest expression of freedom for everyone, and that is exactly why we're vegan as well. Because veganism is an equality movement. It's based around the consideration of others. It's based around caring about other individuals, their rights, their liberty, and the expression of their freedom. That's why, really, if you care about others, if you care about equality, if you're a feminist, if you're a socialist, if you are a trade unionist, a stock dem, whatever it actually might be, whatever political movement around equality you stand behind, whatever social justice movement you stand behind, you have akin with veganism, because you are a part of an equality movement, as veganism is an equality movement.
The claim that it's selfish to do so is one of the most ignorant, naive, horrible things that you can say to people. I don't even understand. I genuinely don't understand the correlation between animal activism and veganism and somebody coming out. To even make that comparison is just really juvenile, and really goes to show that the vegan teacher, in my personal opinion, is somebody who will say and do anything to garner a reaction.
I think she's trying to get a reaction because she feels unheard, because the voices of the animals that we represent are often unheard. No one really knows what pigs sound like as they die, like the screaming. The average everyday individual isn't really listening out for that. They're not looking at footages of cows struggling to survive as they bleed out. Vegans do see that, and it takes its toll. And after a while, when you realize that 70 billion land animals are being killed every year, which means that in a day, within a few days, the same number of individuals will die as died in the Holocaust, then we can see that this is a massive genocide, that we are living in a mass slaughter, that what we are doing right now is incomprehensibly evil. Yet no one will open their eyes to it. You feel like the main character in They Live. Like you've got the sunglasses on, you take them off, and nobody else realizes that you're actually in a world which is controlled and dominated by aliens. That's how big of an ideological shift moving to veganism actually is. It's a lifting of the veil. It's an apocalypse. You see the destitution, the dystopia, the monstrosity that befell humanity, that we are unwilling to shake ourselves from. And when you try to tell people, well, then they persecute you. So I think a lot of it comes from a reactionary stance, to be fair, Daniel. And I can understand why she's become, let's say, this way, because she's looking to get attention so she can bring attention to the animals. She's looking the wrong way, and she's thinking maybe all publicity is good publicity, which is wrong. But you can see why she's being driven to these measures, because often people will not listen.
Which is what she's doing here and what she's done on YouTube with many, 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 many other creators. Even right now, she's attacking SSSS Sniper Wolf, claiming that her dogs need to be vegan. She goes around on other people quite frequently on her channel saying that their dogs need to be vegan, that you need to give your dog a vegan diet. Not all animals are the same.
You can give dogs a vegan diet. They're all omnivores. There's no real reason. Maybe a wolf dog. I could believe wolf dogs struggle because of being half wolf. But no, all dogs can go vegan. I even talked to a vet before I turned my dog vegan. Common misconception, people think that they need meat, but they're omnivores. They produce their own taurine, unlike cats. They're essentially built to survive under most diets as long as they get enough protein. I think it's like 20% crude protein they need. So as long as you give your dog enough protein, happy and healthy, man.
Just FYI, I don't know if you're aware of that. Certain dogs can't eat vegan diets. It's not healthy for animals. And one of the things, this is a genuine, if you're a vegan, I have a genuine question. So a lot of vegan stuff, products, foods, non-animal products, a lot of them contain soy and nuts. And when it comes to veganism, somebody who is allergic to, let's say, soy and nuts, okay? People having two different allergies.
Don't eat soy, don't eat nuts.
That's a real thing. But let's say like you're deathly ill of nuts. How then are you going to consume and get protein in your body? Because believe it or
Okay, so beans, legumes, lentils, brown rice, hemp. What else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. And protein's pretty much in every single plant. There's over 200,000 different plant species that you can pick and choose from. Peas, leafy greens. There's protein in pretty much everything. High protein, let's say you wanted to even supplement and you wanted to take, I'm pretty sure Viva Life is both soy and nut free. Viva Life protein, that is. If you want to check that out, I take it. It's great. I think it's over 30 grams of protein in a serving. If I take that with soy milk, that's 50 grams. You could replace the soy milk with almond milk. You could replace it with hemp milk, increase your protein a little bit, also get some omega-3s and the omega-6s in there. You know, it's not hard. It genuinely isn't difficult to find protein on a vegan diet that's soy and nut-free. To be entirely honest with you, I think having an allergy like soy and having an allergy of soy and nuts is way more restrictive than being vegan. Being vegan just means you can't eat meat, dairy, and eggs. And just animal products as a whole, which isn't that difficult. Being allergic to soy and not being able to consume things like soy lecithin, that's going to be a problem because that's in loads of products. It's like an emulsifier. So I don't see this as being necessarily a problem for most people who have a soy allergy or have a nut allergy. Just don't eat soy and don't eat nuts.
Believe it or not, your body needs protein, right? Okay, your body needs protein.
Yeah. So your body needs about 0.75 grams of protein per pound of lean mass. So I need about, like, long story short, I need about 111 grams of protein a day. If I'm cutting, I probably need, I think it's like 100 up to 190, but like max, I think. I have to double check. But I can do that And if I can do that, then anyone can do that. It's not hard at all. If you wanted to, you can grab, if you like, just from lentils alone, like from red lentils, like how much is 100, like how much protein is in 100 grams of red lentils? You know what? Actually, we'll do red lentils, black beans. So red lentils. There is 9 grams of protein in 100 grams of red lentils, which is 116 calories. So let's say you had 200, let's say 200 calories, well, let's say 250 calories of red lentils, like a portion of red lentils. We're looking there at like 25, but like about 22 grams of protein just from red lentils. All right, what about black beans? So per 100 grams of black beans, there is 132 calories. And apparently, I'll tell you in a second, as soon as this loads. And again, 9 grams of protein. So again, the same for about 280 calories, you get about 20 odd grams of protein. Like, you know, I don't even know how much, what, like, actually, let's just check Viva Life as well. Viva Life protein. So let's say you want to supplement protein. It's hemp and pea. Per serving, there is, let's find out. Drum roll, please. Per serving. Oh my God, why is this such a faff? All right, this is for the raw cacao. Per 38 gram scoop, there's 142 calories and 25 grams of protein. Like, so if you ate lentils, beans, and a scoop of Viva Life in a day, you would have what, that's like 500, 700, 800 calories, and you'd be busting out over around nearly 70 grams of protein for 800 calories. So that's like I don't know what your protein requirements are, but if mine are 111 and I'm a chunky dude, I can hit it, no problem. So you can too.
I'm not a medical professional, but I know for a fact your body needs protein, and you can get protein from vegan products, absolutely. But what if your body is allergic to one of the main ingredients of the majority of vegan products?
Pick a different vegan product.
Which is nuts.
It's not really a main ingredient in most vegan products. Like, you don't actually get protein from nuts. Like, that's a real common misconception. Like, you can. Like, if I was to get like peanut butter powder, for example, like powdered peanut butter where they remove the fat, that would be a protein source that would be nut based. But if I was to just eat peanuts, the primary macronutrient that I'm getting is fat by far. You don't really look to nuts for protein. That's just it's a common misconception. They just told vegetarians to do that because they thought they needed protein.
What do you do then? How do you solve a problem of needing protein where your body may not be suitable to ingest certain products that you may have allergic reactions to or
just don't eat things you're allergic to.
Be deathly ill to?
Don't eat things that you're deathly ill to.
This idea, this is how I view it, this black and white extremism, this Miltonism that you...
What's black and white? There's 200,000 plants. Don't eat the ones you're allergic to. Most allergies are actually like that. The most common allergy in the world, I'm pretty sure, is lactose.
You have to be vegan, and if you're not vegan, you cannot, and you will never care about animals, is just simply just not true. I love...
Well, it depends on what you mean, Daniel. Look at it like this. Can you care about someone and kill them? Can you care about someone and cause harm to them? Can you care about someone and disregard their interests whilst only considering your own? Because that's what animal agriculture does in every single form, whether it's small scale or large scale. Large scale is usually worse, but even on small scale, these animals are raised to die for you. They are raised, often tortured, and then die for you. They are raised, not considered in themselves, killed as infants, and die for you. That's not even mentioning the fact that, let's take an egg, half of them half of the chickens that are in the egg industry are dead from day one. The milk industry are killing are killing baby cows because they're not profitable. 25% of cows sent to slaughter are still pregnant. Many of the many of the babies are developed enough to survive on their own. Some die inside their mother, kicking and screaming, and others are then killed or actually removed from the mother and killed, sometimes with a pipe. It's actually recommended that they are beaten to death with a pipe. So I'm not going to lie, Daniel. I don't really think you can care about animals and then pay for them to be beaten to death with a pipe. I don't think that's uncontroversial. I don't think that's controversial. Yeah, it probably is actually controversial, but it shouldn't be.
I love my cat. I love my dog. But, you know, in another part of the world, they consume these pets.
And they are wrong.
That doesn't make it okay. Trust me, I'm all against people, you know, eating cats and dogs. But there's
Okay, so you're against people eating cats and dogs, but you're not against eating cows, chickens, and pigs. But why? What's the difference between a cat and a dog which justifies consuming one and loving another?
a lot of arguments to be made about the domestication and non-domestication of animals. But I want to say this for the record, is that if I have the chance to try a product that is non-animal related, that doesn't use animal products, I will absolutely jump at the opportunity to try it. In fact,
it's not about buying vegan products, Daniel. It's actually about not buying animal products. That's the whole point. You could be a vegan who does not buy a single vegan product, as in like a labeled vegan, like special alternative. You could just eat plants. That's fine. You're still a vegan. Being a vegan has nothing to do with buying vegan products. It has to do with not buying animal products. It's a boycott movement based around social justice, based around the consideration of the other.
in fact, my refrigerator right now, I have oat milk, milk Oatly. I think it's the brand Oatly.
Cool.
I have Oatly,
Oatly.
ice cream. It's
Well
actually
done,
Oatly
man.
ice cream's amazing, and that's vegan. There are some really good vegan
Cool.
products out there, but it really isn't always financially viable or even protein viable for people who have severe allergies or are allergic to a lot of different things.
I mean, one, have you tried? Like, has a person tried? What are they struggling with? Like, that's the issue, right? Like, a lot of people say, I can't do it. I haven't even tried. It's just a blanket excuse. And it's because it requires effort and a change of an individual's like routine and lifestyle. People think that they've given up their favorite foods. They think that they're conforming to some sort of unrealistic standard. In fact, it's the easiest thing in the world. Like, I found veganism incredibly easy. I know most people find veganism, to be entirely honest with you, quite easy. It's not hard. If you just look up some vegan recipes, learn how to cook your favorite foods as vegan foods, that's all you have to really do. Replace beef with lentils or replace it with vegan mince. Replace it with textured vegetable protein. Replace it with whatever the hell you like, as long as it's not an animal. And there we go.
In no way am I saying don't go vegan, because again, if you want to go vegan, that's your personal choice. I will support you.
It's not about personal choices in the sense that it's like not your personal choice to kill another. That's the only personal choice that's really being considered by vegans.
You're not hurting anybody personally. I don't really care what you do, what you ingest, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man. As long as you're not hurting anyone. But you are hurting someone when you pay for a product which directly causes another product to be supplied of the same nature, which causes direct harm to another. There is no way to kill an animal which is benevolent and humane. There is no way to love another and kill them unnecessarily.
No? If you skim around on the Vegan Teacher's channel, you're going to find that she uses the term vegan phobic a lot in her video titles. And I'm going to be just say it clear out. I'm not vegan phobic, and I think this is a horrendous term to use because the majority of people are not afraid of veganism.
Well, I mean, that's a very literal interpretation. I think that, like, obviously, like, for example, homophobic, it doesn't usually mean afraid of gay people. They're not like homophobic people aren't like actually phobias, like as if they're like they see a gay person and they just burst out of a room, like as if they're like, you know, like someone with arachnophobia who sees a spider. They're like not on a chair and they're like, get the gay, you know. Like often homophobic people are gay haters, right? They don't like people who are homosexual, right? That's what we usually mean colloquially when we say homophobic. And I think what that vegan teacher is actually saying here is to say someone's vegan phobic is that they're a vegan hater. I mean, although I do think that there is an existential fear almost involved with veganism, in which we are calling into question, let's say, someone's life and the structure of how they live their life. And maybe that is actually caused a genuine fear. But I don't think that that vegan teacher is necessarily making some sort of deep existential argument here. Or maybe she is. But I think that colloquially, I would have just understood that to be, you know, she thinks people don't like vegans. And she's right. Especially Gordon Ramsay does hate her.
I know that I'm not. If I go to a restaurant, I've actually been to a couple of vegan restaurants, but if I go to a restaurant a lot and they have vegan options, at some point I'm gonna try that, because I love to see what options are out there to not consume animal products. If I have the chance to do so, I definitely will.
You do have the chance to do so. So you should. I'm not gonna lie, Daniel. Didn't you say like on one of your videos they had like 8 different cheeses in your fridge? You are fully capable of going vegan. If I can go vegan, you can go vegan. And I know that you have availability to shops. You're not in like some sort of, you know, like dystopian desert where like you're having to forage for your food, like dig a hole, you know, and hope you find something at the bottom. You know, you have access to supermarkets from what I'm aware. So yeah, man, like you can absolutely go vegan.
But it's not a way that I want to live my life, and it's not really anybody's business if I consume animal products.
It is, actually. It's the business of the animal. That's the issue, right? It's the animal's business. And because we've made a business about interfering in their lives, you think it's acceptable to consume these products. But it's not acceptable. It's not justified. Can you think of a rational justification for the consumption of animal products if we do not need to consume them? Let's go through them. Okay, it's normal. People do it. An appeal to popularity. Just because everyone does it doesn't mean it's right. Many people were pro-Nazi during the Nazi regime. Many people were racist. Many people were sexist. There are countless atrocities in humanity which have been broadly supported by the public. Normal. No. Necessary. Natural. Normal. Natural. We'll go for natural. Do you need to consume animal products? Can you survive without them? Absolutely. The NHS has said that vegan diets are healthy and suitable for all stages of life, so long as they make sure that you supplement essential nutrients, let's say vitamin D and vitamin B12. The only thing that you really do need to supplement is B12, but I would recommend supplementing vitamin D as well. No real problem. Everyone should supplement it anyway. You can get all of your essential nutrients from a vegan diet, and a vegan diet has even been shown to prevent and reverse atherosclerosis if it's done correctly. So I don't see an issue there. Vegan diets seem to be healthy and arguably even healthier than their animal product alternatives. Let's look at, was it natural, necessary? Natural? Yeah, necessary. And natural. We can do it, actually. I think necessary I've covered. Let's have a look at natural. Just because we can do it, should we do it? Right? That would be an appeal to nature, often called. So just because we are capable of consuming meat doesn't mean we ought to consume meat. Just because in human history we have consumed meat doesn't mean we should continue to consume meat. Just as in nature we will find instances of rape, torture, and brutal violence. In fact, I would agree with the Thomas Hobbes quote, life in the state of nature is nasty, brutal, and short. I don't think we should be emulating nature. And I don't think there is anything about our nature which justifies the consumption of animal products. So why ought we do it? Why can you justify taking the life of another individual when you have no good reason to do it? That's the real question, Daniel. I want you to ask yourself, I truly want you to ask yourself, are you justified in taking the life of another individual, another sensitive creature who feels pain and pleasure just like you, because you think they taste nice?
On a day-to-day basis or not. I do know that for the most part, I've cut out a lot of pork. I rarely eat pork, and I rarely eat steak and meat anymore outside of chicken. Chicken and fish are like my 2 main things that I eat. I do eat meat, but it's just, I've completely taken out the amount that I consume has been drastically changed.
Did you know that when we look at, let's say, fish, we are consuming trillions of fish? The weight, we can't actually calculate how many fish we consume. We actually do it by weight. And a large amount of that is actually by kill. So even more fish than we consume, we actually throw back because we basically dredge up mass amounts of fish, keep the ones we want, and throw the other ones back dead. A lot of them actually have, because they're ripped from very low down and pulled up because of the pressure change, like their stomachs explode and stuff. It's a really gruesome death. And if they do make it, then they suffocate. Do you think that that's justified? Do you also think that we are justified in doing it knowing it's destroying the oceans? 46% of ocean plastic is detached fish and nets, and we are literally dredging the oceans to extinction. We believe that we might have dead oceans by 2048 at this rate. Do you think that's justified? Did you know that fish can be very intelligent and capable creatures? When we blanket fish, there are thousands of species that we are talking about, many of which are emotionally intelligent and sensitive, physically sensitive creatures. Almost all of them, in terms of animals, have central nervous systems and feel pain and pleasure. Yet we're killing them. Chickens are exactly the same. We even sear their beaks off so that they don't cannibalize each other when we keep them in conditions which are so cramped and horrible that they lose their minds and try to murder each other, which is not chicken-like behavior. It's not natural behavior. Do you think that's justified? Did you know that their beaks are actually made of the same stuff as your fingernails, basically? So it'd be like taking a hot knife without anesthesia and cutting the end of your finger off. That is what chickens are put through so that you can have chicken. Most of which live horribly cramped, awful, actually, to be entirely honest with you, absolutely inhumane lives, and are killed very young, brutalized, and tortured. Do you think this is acceptable? This is really what it's about.
Because I try to eat really clean and really healthy. For me,
Okay, I have some news for you. It's not really healthy. Chicken's actually the number one source of saturated fat in the American diet. Saturated fat's directly correlated with atherosclerosis, like heart disease, dementia, and the number one causes of death in the United States. Diabetes is another one. All animal fats actually have been shown now to increase cholesterol to a greater degree than plant fat. So you could eat coconut oil, which is almost exclusively cholesterol, but because it's plant cholesterol, it won't even increase your cholesterol that as much, right? That doesn't even take into consideration the heme iron from which you're consuming from these products because of the blood, which is an oxidant, which increases your cholesterol. Genuinely, just no. Animal products are bad. Fish contain mercury, often polluted PCBs, and all other horrible stuff, not even considering the fact that high amounts of animal protein is bad for your kidneys. So, well, plant protein doesn't seem to have the same effect. So, yeah, no, man, it's not healthy.
I went vegan for like one or 2 months, and it was hard.
What was hard about it, man?
It's doable, but if
it's doable, you should be doing it.
I don't want to be vegan. It's
right. Animals don't want to be tortured. Which one do you think is more pressing?
Just that simple. It's not something that I will enjoy doing, and I do enjoy eating a nice steak every once in a while, and I don't think that you should be angry.
But does the cow enjoy being murdered? Do you think your enjoyment takes precedence over the well-being and the consideration of the cow, of another individual? Would I be right if I was, let's say, a rapist? Would I be right in raping someone because it brings me enjoyment? Or would that be wrong? Of course it would be wrong, because I'm not considering another individual. It's pretty plain to see that your pleasure is not a justification for causing the pain in another.
Or upset at people who do eat steak every once in a while, because again, it's none of your business what people do with their own body if they want to consume.
I don't care about what you do with your own body, man. Go drink. I don't care. Take drugs. That's your problem. I care what you're doing with the body of the cow.
Meat, that's their business. Just in the same way, if you don't want to consume meat, that's your business. I'm not going to go out of my way to like attack you or anything. Now, maybe me 8 years ago, yes, I definitely would have, because my methodology towards activism and like veganism was very, very different then. And if you go back on my channel, you'll actually find that I made a lot of anti-vegan videos, but now, years later, I've definitely come around and I see there are definitely benefits to being a vegan and changing your diet and eating differently. And I promote a vegan lifestyle if that's what you want to do.
Why don't you realize that it's not about a vegan lifestyle, eating plant-based? It's about not causing harm to another, Daniel. Like, seriously, it's about not hurting other people. That's the entirety of the movement. It's about the consideration, the ethical consideration of animals, the emancipation and liberation of other sentient beings from our ruthless torture and inconsideration. That is what veganism is about.
I have no problem with that, and I respect that. It's just not for me. And if you
You can't respect veganism without being a vegan. I know it sounds really bad, but what veganism actually is an ethical movement. It's like, I respect anti-racists, but I also beat like black people up. They'd be like, no, well, you don't respect anti-racists because you're beating black people up. Because anti-racists are against the very actions you're doing. You are disrespecting the movement, but you are disrespecting more so the black person. You are disrespecting the animal. You are disrespecting the victim of your actions. It's not about vegans. It's about animals.
can't respect the fact that I say it's just not for me, and you continuously insist and attack people and other YouTubers just because you can, because you are one weirdo woman who doesn't know how to teach properly, you know, because your name's Vegan Teacher, you're not really doing an effective means of teaching when you're pushing people away for a good cause. That's just my personal opinion.
If you believe it's a good cause, then why are you reluctant to do it? Why do you shy away from it, Daniel?
But, you know, hey, I digress. You make videos like this one.
Religion? That's a good question. I think you should change your religion like you change your underwear. You know, change your religion. Show God that you really care. Change your religion. Try something new. Use your critical thinking skills to question all you eat, drink, buy, think, say, and...
There is no religion which is against veganism. You can be vegan in any religion. You don't have to give up your religion to be vegan. For example, if you're Muslim, all plants are halal. If you're Jewish, I'm pretty sure all plants are kosher. Almost all plants are kosher, bar some minor exceptions, but you would be used to that anyway. So it's not really a big deal. You can be a vegan in any religion. In fact, if you're a Mahayana Buddhist, for example, I don't even know why you're not vegan. I'm pretty sure the last Buddha actually said that that you should not be eating animals. So I don't know, man. I think that it's very easy to be vegan and religious. In fact, I would argue that Christians should be vegan.
And do.
That carrot makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like, you should change your religion if it tells you to be cruel. And change your religion if it has a strange or crazy rule.
I think you should not necessarily change your religion, but be critical of your religion. I think we can all agree that we should be skeptical of tradition. But then you should take it upon yourself to reform it and change it if it is unethical. Take it upon yourself to take responsibility for what is your culture and your religion. Yeah, absolutely. Have the courage to use your own understanding, in the words of Immanuel Kant. 100%. And so, yeah, go vegan. And if, there's a culture which is trying to tell you not to go vegan, well, then you need to take, you need to genuinely try and change your culture. Your culture is wrong. I know it sounds bad, but look, if your culture is racist, let's take female genital mutilation. If your culture is permitting, the mutilation of male or female genitalia for the purposes of, let's say, religious practice without really any justification, and it's causing harm to individuals and disrespect to individuals, then yeah, you should absolutely change that. Like, for example, like even if we agreed that circumcision was okay on boys, I think that it should be done medically. I don't think that, I certainly do not see a justification for a rabbi performing unsterile circumcision in the 21st century. I think that the baby boy deserves more. I think it deserves consideration. I don't think that's controversial. So I think I get a point, like, in the sense that, take responsibility for yourself, do the right thing, and don't be told to do the wrong thing by an authority. But I would go so far as to say that we need to change the norms and conventions around our traditions, because abandoning them is actually a first-class way to creating a bunch of unethical individuals who are no longer influenced by other ethical individuals. All the good people leave, and you leave all the bad people to make the rules. What a good idea that would be.
Change your religion. Why not be an atheist every Sunday? What's important, no matter what, is that you don't hurt animals in any way.
Well, others, yeah, just don't hurt others. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But, like, not necessarily changing your religion and going atheist on a Sunday. Would you please stop eating that carrot like that? My God, like, it's so horrible.
That's what I think. Carrot?
I just, that carrot eating made me really uncomfortable. I did not like that. I did not like that.
People ask, are you friends with people who aren't vegan?
Yes.
Well, it's not that simple.
Actually, it is that.
I am friends with people who aren't vegan. I do think that they're indoctrinated and they need to change. But yeah, I'm friends with people who aren't vegan. Like, I have philosophy friends that with people who are like, I'm doing a PhD in philosophy. I have a friend who's doing a PhD in philosophy. He's not vegan. He's absolutely wrong. Totally indoctrinated. Dave, if you listen to this, I think you're absolutely indoctrinated. He knows this. I've told all of my friends that I think they're indoctrinated. And that they should go vegan. They're still my friends. I still care about them. But yeah, like, yeah, I do have my principles. And I do have reasons to believe in these principles.
Simple. I'm not going to base my friendship with somebody based upon what you eat.
It's not just about what you eat, it's about what you wear and what you do, right? Like, it's like, would you base your friendship with someone? Like, look at it like this. A vegan is seeing an individual consume an animal product as basically seeing someone beat a dog. Would you be friends with someone who beats dogs? Like, what we realize is that there is a harm being perpetuated by these actions. You're not seeing someone beat the animal. It's behind a closed door. It's behind the scenes. But that's supposed to somehow change the unethical nature of the action. Vegans don't see it the same way. There is a genuine change in the experience. So when you understand, like, when you see someone buy, let's say, a whole pig, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go and roast this pig on a barbecue, a vegan sees someone looking at an animal, being absolutely inconsiderate of that animal, and acting as if it's okay, normal, and that they shouldn't be scorned for that, which is, of course, absolutely wrong. There should be a time when there will be a time when that will be illegal. It should be illegal. People should not be able to buy animal products. People should not be able to engage in the exploitation of other individuals. Just as people shouldn't be allowed to have slaves. People shouldn't be allowed to be sexist, racist, bigoted in any way. Just because you don't see the harm being done doesn't mean the harm's not being done. And I think that looking at vegans and saying, like, look, oh, why do you hate meat eaters? So they don't hate meat eaters. They're just appalled by the actions of meat eaters. But I think as vegans, we have to understand that most people are indoctrinated. They do not know better. Forgive them for that. They know not what they do.
Dude.
If, let's say, people don't know what happens to the animals, it hasn't really clicked in their heads yet what's going on. And they're kind of innocent. They just really don't believe what's going on.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that.
In these factory farms, where they honestly think it happens in other countries.
Oh, like, yeah, it's in another country. Oh, we don't do that to animals. Oh, animals live a good, happy life. Oh, well, animals don't feel pain. Oh, there's 101 excuses, at least I've heard, that why people just think that it's not as bad as it actually is.
And not where they are. Then you kind of have to forgive them because they just don't know better. But let's say you've explained to somebody in your life several times about what's going on, and you've asked them to watch the documentaries, and they just point blank refuse, or just are.
Then you've got to give them an ass whooping, like on They Live, man. You put these glasses on, or you eat from the trash can, right? No, I mean, like, you've got to keep questioning. Like, the last thing I'm going to do is alienate myself from the people who won't listen to me, because I'm going to be there as a thorn in their side until one of us dies. And I've got the lower likelihood of heart disease. So we're going to see how that goes.
are committing themselves to willful ignorance. Can you be friends with them? Well, how would you feel if you knew that one of your best friends or a family member was paying people to hurt cats? Was your neighbor was eating cats, or
Dogfighting, man. Dogfighting.
your cousin was eating cats, or somebody else that's really close to you in your life, a really good friend, was eating dogs, and you explain to them that this causes a lot of suffering and pain, and that it also hurts you just to know that it goes on because you're an animal rights activist. It's pretty hard to keep respecting people like that, because they
I will say it is difficult to maintain friendships when you are vegan and your friends don't listen to you at all.
have a choice, and they're choosing to be cruel on purpose. So my answer is no. I can't be friends with people like that.
Wow.
I don't think that that's really that controversial. I mean, you're asking at a... I mean, like, look, friendship's two ways, man. Like, if you can't be friends with people who actively, you know, are willfully ignorant and won't go vegan, and it's taking its toll on her, well, look, she's not having it's not a friendship anymore. They're not actually aligning in terms of purpose. There's no relationship there which is functional. So why would they keep it going? Like, it's... Look, if your relationship's broke, let's say one person in the relationship's having a really nice time and one person's having a bad time, it's a bad relationship. It's two ways, man. I don't see that. No one's obligated to be friends with anyone else. So I don't see the issue.
Okay then, you know, you can't be friends with non-vegans.
That's not what you said. She said that she couldn't be friends with those who are unwilling to change after having seen the harm they cause, which is very different to saying that you can't be friends with non-vegans. Most people don't know the harm they cause. Most people are unaware of the pain and suffering they inflict upon others. That's something that I think she can't be friends with, ignorance. But what you can't be friends with is willful ignorance. She struggles to be around people who she was arguing are being irrational. And I would say the same in many ways. It's a very big struggle to be around people who are actively being irrational. It's like, how easy would you find it, Daniel, to be friends with a racist? We believe that people are speciesist when they don't consider animals, that they are being unethical. If you were presented with a racist, would you be friends with them? Could you be friends with them? Let's say you thought they were ignorant. Let's say they were raised in, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a country where racism is probably more acceptable. Maybe like South Africa or something. Let's say they were raised in South Africa. You know, they're coming from a family which is very conservative. They don't know better. So you try and educate them. But let's say they are educated, but they don't care. They are unwilling to listen. No, they say black people are inferior to white people and they are pro-apartheid. Would you be friends with them, Daniel?
That's really actually sad. You're so strung up on an ideology or on activism that you cannot be friends with somebody who thinks differently than you, or even lives a lifestyle that maybe doesn't reflect exactly what you believe in. And maybe this is just a silly example, but I have friends who are really into poly relationships. I'm not about that life. I'm into monogamy, right? And I know this is different because we're not talking about animals here, but just...
Or ethics, for the most part. I mean, there's a very... Like, when we talk about people that enter in a polyamorous relationship, the main arguments against it are that you're going to get hurt, right? Like, that the relationship won't work and someone in the relationship will suffer. So you're talking about them taking a risk with themselves. What if they were taking risks with other people?
Just hear me out. Poly relationships, open relationships, and then you have monogamy. I'm monogamous, and a lot of people that I know are into open poly relationships. Can I not be friends with somebody because they live a different lifestyle, or they're okay with that, or like...
It's just not comparable. Like, we're talking about the consideration of unethical behavior versus the consideration of, let's say, a different structure, institutional structure, like in terms of the family or in terms of religion. Like, I can absolutely be friends with someone who's of a different religion, but I could not be friends with someone who beats children. Like, that's the kind of difference that we're talking about here. One is a ethical or a moral qualm, and one is a aesthetic or a subjective, or I don't want to say subjective, but a aesthetic or I think aesthetic qualm. It's an aesthetic difference. You like rock music. Let's say you like, I don't know, pop, and I like metal. Like, we can be friends. I don't have to like pop. You don't have to like metal. But if you beat children and I am against child abuse, that's going to be a very strained friendship.
This blows my mind at this level of militantism. And I'm going to be, for the record,
It's not even that militant, man. Like, are you trying to say that you're upset that she's not your friend? Like, people have the right to choose their friends. And she even said that she'd be friends with the ignorant. She just had a specific, this very small group of people who, you know, understand what's going wrong and yet choose to act otherwise.
militantism, regardless of what it is, whether it's activism, religion, personal beliefs, politics, militantism is always bad, in my opinion, when it comes to, like, ideologies like this.
I want to know how he defines militant, you know? Like, I want to know, like, what he thinks militant means. Like, that it's, like, confrontational? Is it just having confrontation? Or is it, like, violence? Because, look, like, I think that people should be militant if it's confrontational, in the sense of being against something like apartheid, or being against, let's say, the Occupy movement, are quite militant, right? That they're forcing a confrontation. Like in the civil rights movement, when the Occupy movement was sitting down, preventing people from being served in restaurants, or, you know, occupying public transport, whatever it is, you know, in the Birmingham, you know, in Birmingham, 1969, that was quite a militant action, even though it was passive, right? If you mean militant as in extreme in the sense of being violent, I would agree. We shouldn't be violent. But we should be able to question and confront others on their actions and judgments when they cause harm to others. When it's an ethical issue, we absolutely should be willing to confront others and confront ourselves. And often we don't confront ourselves unless someone confronts us. We can't see ourselves in the same way. We can't see ourselves through the eyes of the other without having been confronted by the other. So no, we should absolutely be supporting, you know, militant ethical engagement, because we should be confronting our bad behavior, and we should be allowing others to confront us with our bad behavior when appropriate.
It pushes people away for a cause, and I believe that you should be helping people to want to become vegan by not pressuring them and telling them how to live their lives.
But how are you going to be vegan if I tell you that you don't have to be vegan? Like, do you think anyone is going to genuinely go vegan if they were like, oh yeah, man, you don't have to go vegan if you could just maybe drink soy milk on a Tuesday? That's good enough for me. Don't worry about all the animals that are getting killed. You know, just drink some soy milk and that's good enough. No, it's like Meatless Monday, man. It's such an unbelievably, to be honest, worthless notion. Don't eat meat once a week. Right. So 6 days a week. You could be eating meat twice as much on a Tuesday. I don't even, like, you might take Meatless Monday as an excuse to get a meat feast pizza the next day. There's no ethical engagement with the issue, which is the value and the consideration of others in the consideration of animals, in non-human animals. And that's what really vegans are pointing out. Look, there's no point in saying that, oh, well, I'm doing Meatless Monday because I care about animals. And it's like, well, why don't you care about animals on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you know? And this is why, you know, you have to be confrontational, because people are locked into the dogmatism that is in the dominant ideology of our society. It's pretty plain and clear to see. Most people find veganism an uncomfortable topic because they're invested in a non-vegan lifestyle.
You educate people is one of the most vital aspects of education about everything.
How do you educate people on the harm that they do without being confrontational? Like, imagine trying to tell someone that they're doing something unethical and expecting it to be non-confrontational. People are incredibly defensive of their actions, their behaviors, their decisions, their judgments, their lifestyles, their cultures. Veganism comes into conflict with these norms and conventions. There is absolutely going to be confrontation. It's not that we're militant. It's that this is a confrontational issue. Like this is forcing a confrontation.
I can't trust them to have integrity or to be kind. And it's unfortunate. I will be polite to them. I will, have basic interactions with them, but will I ever fully trust them? No. So why aren't you vegan yet?
Because I don't want to be. And that's a valid response.
But it's not really. It's like, why aren't you against child abuse? Because I don't want to be. Why aren't you against why why aren't you anti-racist? Because I don't want to be. Why do you support why don't you support I don't know, like battered wives and stuff like that? Oh, I don't want to. Like, how ridiculous that would sound, right? Because when you're confronted with an ethical issue, your preferences on on the metric we use to judge what's right and wrong. We wouldn't say that an individual's preference is justification alone for justification alone for committing actions which are grossly unethical. Someone, let's say, wanting to beat a black person is not a good justification. Someone wanting to beat their wife is not a good justification. Someone wanting to harm an animal is not a good justification for that action. Okay? Preferences are not justifications, man.
I don't want to be that way. Just as you don't want to be somebody who eats meat. If I can respect you, then you should be.
I don't even think it's that. She might want to be someone who eats meat, in the sense that she might want to eat meat. She doesn't want to be someone who consumes the flesh of animals, in the sense that she doesn't want to cause harm to the animals. It's not about the flesh, right? It's not about the meat. It's about the animal. Like, you could have a vegan who really loved the taste of meat, still loves the taste of meat, really thinks that meat is the most delicious and most unbelievable thing in the world, would eat factory produced meat in the sense, like, cell cultures, but would not harm an animal, and so is vegan. That's the point. It's not about just our wants. It's about the animal's wants. It's not just about our needs, it's about the animal's needs.
Be able to respect me.
Meet the first ever all Google.
No, I don't want to meet the first ever all Google phone. Please go away.
Honestly. What stops you? Is laziness an okay excuse? If you were the victim and someone said, well, I just can't be bothered to Google the recipes, or it's just too hard for me to just reach for the soy milk instead of the cow milk, it's just too hard. Would you respect that person?
I think there is something worth saying, like putting yourself in the victim's perspective. I think it is a genuinely good thing to do because I think it's insightful. I think as well, she has a point in saying it's laziness. I think that often it is laziness and cowardice. In the words of Kant, Sapa Ord, have the courage to use your own understanding. He saw laziness and cowardice as being the primary enemies against the Enlightenment, against the rational consideration of others. So I don't think he was wrong on that. I think that he was actually quite right. I think most of the time... thank you for the donation, Josh. Really appreciate it. I think most of the time we don't consider others because of laziness and cowardice. We choose not to be rational because of laziness and cowardice. How many of you have genuinely, let's say like Meaty does, have genuinely watched the documentaries showing animals being slaughtered? If it's good enough for you, if it's not good enough for your eyes, why is it good enough for your stomach? Gary Yourofsky says that, and I think he says it for good reason, because the people who are avoiding it are the very same people who claim that they do not need to go vegan, but they could not know if they need to go vegan or not because they refuse to watch the need. They refuse to see the experiences of others and consider them.
if somebody were pinning down dogs and cats and taking milk from them. Or if you knew somebody was taking, say, the eggs of geese or swans, just going around outdoors and gathering them and just taking them because they wanted eggs, because they can't live without eggs.
I have another question if I have any vegans watching me here.
Well, he has a vegan watching. That's
How
it.
does one truly live a life of not having any animal products in their day-to-day life? And
You don't buy them.
when I'm talking about extreme causes here, I'm talking, you have a laptop, you have a phone,
Like, I don't think there's actually any animal products in my laptop. Like, I don't know.
right? You have a TV,
Where are the animal products in TVs? I don't
you
understand
have
where this is going.
headphones.
I don't understand.
The
Yeah, me headphones are vegan. I checked.
oven that you have,
Yeah, the oven. The oven is vegan.
the refrigerator that you have,
I don't understand.
glass.
Why does he think fridges aren't vegan?
the glass in your frames, the vegan
What? The glass in me frames? Sorry. Why do you think glass is non-vegan? What do you think glass is made of, Daniel?
teacher. I don't know if you know this, how glass is made, and certain types of glasses use animal products.
I've never heard of that. I remember watching like lenses being made and like converting silica and so on. I've never once seen glass production which is non-vegan. Not once. But I'm not gonna lie, even if you couldn't, let's say you can't work out whether glass is non-vegan and you need glasses, well then it comes down to what's possible and practicable. You need to buy glasses. You can't avoid the animal product, so it is not practicable for you to avoid it. You can't do it without living a debilitated life. You aren't considering yourself and respecting yourself. It's in the definition of veganism.
Like, if you go to the core of almost everything that we have, a lot of my material,
I can't really think of anything around me which is actually made of an animal. Like, in any way. Like, I genuinely don't. Like, I can't think of a single thing that could be in this room which could contain an animal product. There's printer ink, and I know that's vegan. Because that's really easy. Daniel, man, you can't be serious.
materialistic items, there are animal products used in almost everything.
Not really, man. It's actually really easy.
And the way that I see it is that truly living a life of not using or consuming a singular animal product.
I mean, the whole point is possible and practicable to avoid them to the greatest extent when you can.
That is used in anything in your day-to-day life is practically impossible. Let's take it one step further with the example of batteries. Almost everything that we use has batteries, right? Now, different types of batteries uses different metal properties in that. Not all batteries are the same, and I don't know the specifics of what batteries use what type of compounds. I think it's gelatin is a type of metal processing that is used in a lot of batteries.
But I don't think gelatin's necessarily from an animal product, because you can have plant gelatin as well anyway. So like it could have been animal or synthetic in origin. And if you can't discern the difference and you need batteries, well then you're allowed to buy them.
Right? Cadmium is another thing that is used in batteries. Gelatin and animal fats. Animal fats is a really big one. And as far as I'm aware, it's almost, I don't even know if we have actual alternatives to animal fats in certain products that we use on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, thank you.
Sir Chillington donated £5. What is your opinion on the recent vegan foot soldier versus vegan gains debate?
I'll get onto that later because I'm actually hopefully I need to actually email Vegan Gains. I'm trying to organize a debate. So yeah.
Like, if there is, feel free to correct me, but I don't know of any. And you can definitely apply this.
I'm gonna quickly Google that. Animal products in batteries. Animal products in batteries. Metal processing metal. So yeah. Okay. I think actually Live Kindly have an article on this. It's the same thing as the £5 notes. If you can't avoid it, then then you can't do anything about it, or it implies can. Okay, so you could genuinely just avoid it if you can. Like, don't buy batteries unnecessarily. Don't buy excessive batteries that you know are, essentially using the manufacturing of the animal products if you can get away with it. You could go that extra step and even email the companies and ask them, if any of the batteries are vegan. It's not that hard. If you need to use a battery and it's essential for work and your life and for your reasonable living standard, then that's vegan anyway, because it's possible and practicable. This seems like a really bad way of trying to say that you're not obligated to, let's say, the most basic actions of avoiding animal products, which necessitate the death of another, which necessitate the exploitation of another, whilst batteries do not. We can use plant alternatives. So if we are vegan and these byproducts no longer exist, you'll find that gelatin will no longer be a viable product used for that industry. These are the considerations that really should be kind of hitting home when you're considering going vegan. What is the industry and why is it function this way? Gelatin is a byproduct, right? It's not the main product. The main product is the animal flesh, the leather, the milk, the eggs. Like the products themselves are, like the main products themselves are usually consumed daily by your average everyday individual intentionally. Things that you find like secondarily, like things like milk. Milk's there because like milk powders and loads of stuff because it's heavily subsidized. It's heavily subsidized because loads of people drink milk and the government believes that people, should be able to afford milk at lower prices. And so you have the milk market is now overly saturated and milk powders and everything. Reduce the milk market, milk powder becomes expensive, choose another alternative. The businesses choose another alternative because of capitalism. So there is no real issue here, Daniel. Like, if you go vegan, you'll find that you'll actually be fighting even these issues. You might be able to avoid them in your day-to-day life. There might be issues that, essentially they're essential to your day-to-day living, to your livelihood, to a standard of living which is reasonable, to the consideration of yourself. And that's fine. But the consumption of meat, dairy, and eggs, wearing leather, none of that's okay. None of that can be justified with this. It's an appeal to futility.
Same line of thinking to a lot of different other products that I don't know what is or isn't containing certain, animal.
Well, just start by removing those things that contain animal products, like chicken.
Substances or materials. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this
You don't have to be an expert to know that chicken is actually made of chickens.
field, but it's just something that I want people to think about and consider, because that is a huge factor to me. Is like, it's almost impossible not to consume something that uses animal products. Therefore, I'm not going to go out of my way to live a life of like trying to step around.
It's almost impossible, Daniel, to avoid like exploitation in our society, like worker exploitation. Like for example, like in the production of, let's say, our laptops, someone was probably exploited to produce the cobalt. There are whole nations exploited to produce chocolate. Do I expect you to avoid it when possible? Yes. Do I expect you to avoid it entirely? No, I don't think that's possible. Do your best. You can't be criticized for doing your best. Like, if you genuinely try your hardest to avoid animal products, you don't consume animal products, but you accidentally consume an E number that was an animal product derivative, or somewhere in the processing, the E number was converted from being the E number was created synthetically using animal products. No, mate, I'm sorry, you don't have to worry about that. That's beyond your control. Use your consumer power to respect animals and stop causing their exploitation when you can. Do what you can do, and then you're fine. You're vegan.
Every little thing and not use certain things because an animal product was used for it. I just find that to be really extreme. But if I have an option to choose something that's non-animal product related, I absolutely will, and I have. I'm all about reducing
Then why are you buying chicken?
plastic waste, making the environment a better place. But we're not at the point.
Plastic waste. 46% of plastic is detached fishing nets. 46%, right? Considering the size of considering the amount of plastic in the ocean, right? We're talking about, let's take the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is about the size, between the size of Texas and the entire continent of America, or at least Northern America. We're talking about an incredibly large radius, and 46% of that garbage patch alone, one of the 7 or 8, is made of detached fishing nets. Man, stop eating fish. If you care about plastic pollution, stop eating fish. If you care about fish, stop eating fish.
Yet where I think that we can fully, as a nation in the world, do that fully. And I don't know if we ever will be. I don't know.
So yeah, I hope I explained there, Daniel, that really it's not an excuse to not go vegan. Like, because an animal product was used in the manufacturing of a vaccine, it doesn't alienate you from a vaccine, for example, because it's possible and practicable. You have to take the vaccine for the public good, for your own well-being, and so you can take the vaccine. You're not alienated from medications. You're not alienated from batteries or laptops and computers because you need them to survive and you need them to live a reasonably decent life within our society. And none of these products necessitate the exploitation of animals. So when you purchase these products, you aren't paying for animal products. You aren't contributing to the industry. You are buying a camera. You are buying a battery. All of these can be produced without animal products. If you stop contributing to the industry which produces these animal products, then you'll find that they'll diminish in other products around you because it's not economically viable. The political movement and the boycott movement, the economic disruptive activity that is the activism of being vegan, is about attacking the meat, dairy, and egg industry, the leather industry, the fur industry. It's about not buying these products and supporting unethical actions, necessitated unethical actions. But you can be a vegan and you can have a laptop, man. You can be a vegan and you can buy batteries. You can be a vegan and, work your 9-to-5 job at a supermarket in which there's meat there because it's possible and practicable. So these aren't good excuses. I'm sorry. I'm not actually that sorry. I think that it's the right thing to say. And I think Daniel, if you ever genuinely want to have a discussion on veganism, I'm open. We can have a chat, and I'll do my best to try and explain why vegans hold the position we do and why we don't respect you consuming animal products, because it means that you don't respect the animal themselves. We can't respect you disrespecting another. And hopefully we can meet maybe make some progress. Okay. So how would everyone enjoy that? What did you think? I'm going to sneeze. Don't know what's going on there. It was nice, PP. Thanks. Got you mad all over again. You did good. Thanks, man. Thanks. Well, hopefully he might reach out and we could have a discussion. Concise. Thanks. Okay, so let's have a look. So far I've spoken for, because I don't want to make this too long, because I do actually want Daniel to see it. Although I might just unlist it and send it to him. No, I think I'll just keep it up. What's going on? Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this has been going on now for 1 hour 30. So I'm gonna, have a Q&A for 5 minutes and then I'm gonna go. So if anyone has a question that they want us to answer, drop it in the chat. So yeah. Oh, you're making a video calling out Vosh with Catherine Klein. That's cool. That's cool. I need to respond to Vosh because well, he responded to me. Started calling me names and stuff. Even though like I think my critique of him is pretty bang on, but I'm happy about it, to be entirely honest with you. It's just forcing him to acknowledge it. The stream has been a little bit laggy. Oh. Damn. Hey Jeremy. Nice to see you here. I didn't know that, Tomato. I didn't know that. What does Dave respond with when I say that it shouldn't be eaten meat because immoral? Well, he's a descriptivist in terms of ethics, and he won't debate us on it. So, Dave, if you do see this, why do you keep avoiding a debate with me? Why won't you ever defend your position? Come on, Dave. Come on. How son? Dave hasn't really watched or engaged with a lot of the vegan education stuff. I don't think he knows what's going on, really. Ethan, if you want to make a video explaining Hegelian vegan philosophy, yeah, go for it. About the lithium tomato. Okay, guys. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. I hope it's been insightful. I hope you've enjoyed the response. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Send it to Repzion on Twitter. At him, let him know on the comments of his videos or whatever that I made the response. Because I don't have Twitter at the minute. I deactivated it because I was getting swamped with work. So if you want to let him know, that would be really appreciated. And, just share it around so that he sees it. It would be really appreciated. Like it, subscribe. And thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. It's very much appreciated. Especially my Gold Soul patrons who genuinely make this possible. Skrillaton, who donated. I am going to be hopefully debating Vegan Gains and Avi with Vegan Foot Soldier and having Happy Healthy Vegan Mod. But we've got to organize it, so hopefully that'll happen and you'll see my position then. So yeah. We need to collab sometime, Vegan Gains? Absolutely. So yeah. Yeah. So thank you all for watching, and as always, try to gain some perspective.